Teacher talking sports, what it does, what do, how we live, and let's continue the MLB Mount Rushmore series I've been doing, where I name who I believe are the four best players from each decade. Started with the 2010s, been going backwards. Now I land on the 1930s, so let's take a look at the four I chose. I'll go into more depth on why I chose them as the video goes on, but in alphabetical order by last name, my 1930s Mount Rushmore includes Jimmy Fox, Lou Gehrig, Lefty Grove, and Mel Ott, four baseball legends for sure. Some of the toughest guys to leave off, maybe the toughest was Charlie Gehringer, the longtime Detroit Tiger player. A couple other honorable mentions, few other, include Carl Hubble, Bill Dickey, and Archie Vaughn, just to name a few other great players from the decade as well. But yeah, let's get into why I chose the four for this 1930s Mount Rushmore. Again, going alphabetical order by last name, starting with Jimmy Fox. The mostly played first base, played his first 6 seasons of the decade with the Philadelphia Athletics, last 4 with the Boston Red Sox. For the decade, Fox batted .336 with a 1,091 OPS, 173 OPS plus, 415 homers, 1,403 RBIs, 1,244 runs scored, walked 1,015 times. In the decade, Fox won 3 MVPs, 2 with the Athletics, 1932 and 1933. Also won 1 with the Red Sox in 1938. In the 30s, he also had MVP finishes 2nd, 10th, and 11th twice. Fox won 2 batting titles in 1933 and 1938. Those were 2 of 8 seasons where he batted over 300. Led the league on base percentage twice, slugging 5 times, OPS 5 times, 4 times led the league in homers. He had 2 seasons of at least 50 homers, including 58 in 1932. Every season in the decade, he had triple digits in RBIs, including 169 in 1932. That was one of 3 seasons he led the league in RBIs. Led the league with 151 runs scored in 1932. 9 seasons in the decade had at least 100 runs scored. The only one he didn't, 93 and 1931. Also had 8 seasons of at least 30 doubles, 2 seasons of at least 200 hits, 5 seasons with at least 100 walks. One of the all-time great hitters. Fox did win a World Series with the Philadelphia Athletics in 1930. Jimmy Fox, the first member of my 1930s Mount Rushmore. Next, another absolute legend at the plate, and another predominantly first baseman, that being Lou Gehrig. Now, Lou Gehrig spent the entire 10 years of the decade with the New York Yankees. During the 1930s, Gehrig batted .343 with a 1,091 OPS, 181 OPS plus, connected on 347 homers, drove in 1,360 runs, scored 1,257 times, also had 1,028 walks. Gehrig was named the MVP in 1936. He also had MVP finishes in the decade of 2nd twice, 3rd, 4th twice, and 5th twice. So 8 seasons of a top 5 MVP finish. Won a batting title in 1934. That was one of 8 seasons where he batted over 300 in a decade. 4 straight seasons from 1934 to 1937. Led the league in on base percentage, twice led in slugging, 3 times in OPS. Led the league in homers 3 times, including 2 seasons where he hit 49. Those were 2 of 4 seasons for the decade he had over 40 homers. Had another 4 seasons of at least 30 homers. Each of the first 9 seasons, he drove in and scored at least 114. So 1938, his least in the first 9 years, 114 RBIs, 115 runs scored. Incredible. 3 times led in RBIs, 4 times in runs scored, once in hits. He had 6 seasons, of at least 200 hits. 3 times led the league in walks, 8 seasons of at least 100 walks, 4 seasons double-digit triples, 4 seasons of at least 40 doubles. Of course, the Yankees were a juggernaut back in those days. Gehrig won 4 World Series with the Yankees, and in those World Series hit 6 homers, 4 World Series in the 1930s. Lou Gehrig, historic first baseman, second choice for the 1930s Mount Rushmore. Next, let's go with this starting pitcher, left-hander, Lefty Grove. Now, Lefty Grove played the first 4 seasons with the Philadelphia Athletics in the decade, the last 6 with the Boston Red Sox. In the 1930s, Grove went 199 and 76 with a 2.91 ERA. Completed 197 of his 268 starts, 26 shutouts, even 31 saves, 1,313 strikeouts. Just an excellent pitcher throughout the decade. Again, pre-Cy Young voting, but Grove was named the MVP in 1931 and also had a 5th and 9th place finish in the decade. There's bold ink galore all over his baseball reference page for the decade. Led the league in wins 3 times, including 31 in 1931. Led in ERA 7 times. He had 6 seasons with under a 3 ERA, led in complete games 3 times, shutouts 3 times, and strikeouts twice, as well as whip 5 times for the decade. Grove won over 20 games 5 times in the decade. An excellent winning percentage of .724 in the 1930s. Grove was also, just like Jimmy Fox, Grove was a member of that 1930 World Series winning team. Pitched stellar in his 3 games, 2 starts, only allowing 3 earned runs in 19 innings. Lefty Grove is the 3rd member of the 1930s Mount Rushmore. And let's end with a predominantly right fielder, that being Mel Ott. Now, Mel Ott played his entire career with the then known as the New York Giants, and spent all 10 seasons playing in the 1930s. So during the decade, Ott batted .313 with a .980 OPS, 162 OPS plus, 308 homers, 1,135 RBIs, 1,095 runs scored, 956 walks. Ott did not win MVP, but he had MVP finishes of 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th, and 11th in the decade. Batted over 300 7 times in the decade, led in on base percentage 4 times, slugging once, OPS once. 6 seasons with over a 1,000 OPS in the decade. Ott was definitely a major power hitter, leading the league in homers 5 times. Those were 5 of 6 seasons. He had over 30 homers and had no less than 23 in any of the 10 years in the 30s. Ott had 8 seasons with at least 100 RBIs in the decade, including the first 7. Had another 7 seasons with at least 100 runs. Led the league with 116 runs in 1938. He also had 4 seasons of at least 30 doubles. Led the league in walks 4 times. Had 6 seasons in a decade with triple digits in walks. Mel Ott, one of the great hitters that was kind of forgotten, but he shouldn't be. Was a member of the Giants World Series winning team in 1933 when he batted .389 with 2 homers in 18 at-bats. They also made the World Series in 1936 and 1937. Mel Ott, the 4th member of my 1930s MLB Mount Rushmore. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with the 4 guys I chose. I think I'm going to stop at the 1900s because that was the beginning of the World Series era. Maybe I'll change my mind, but if I don't, we're almost done. It's been fun. I'll do it for the other sports as well, since NFL's in the off season. I don't know if I'll do it right after, but soon after. NBA, NHL, I'll do once they're in their off seasons. But yes, tomorrow we'll be doing the 1920s. Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.